Call this meeting to order. Start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, start with the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting September 14th and the minutes of the special meeting September 24th.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of both meetings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is the approval of the general fund vouchers, 78,032 through 78,122. Wire transfers 2021, double lot 96 through 2021, 0147.
I move to approve. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the general fund vouchers and wire transfers as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Public comments, anybody here to?
Emily signed up.
Okay, Emily.
Those of you on the school board, the Clear Lake FFA officers wanted to just recognize you for School Board Appreciation Week last week. So you have a thank you note on your desk. You guys want? I have it. Okay. If you don't, that's fine. So this is just a little sheet I put together for some of the cool things that we're doing in the, I'm going to share this with you, but I need one. Some of the cool things that we are doing in the Ag Education Department. Most notably, and if you have students in the district, you might have already heard about our animal friends that we have in our animal lab. So we are very blessed here to have a special room set aside for animal friends that can come and help us with class. So we currently have 3 pigs, 2 turkeys, 3 soon-to-be 5 rabbits, 2 guinea pigs, and 3 rats that are all used for various purposes for our animal science classes. So I teach a large animal class this year, which is currently working with the pigs. We're working through rate of gain and how we identify livestock, and we'll get to, we're not quite there yet, but we'll talk about cuts of pigs and meat and how we get them from one place to the other. The 2 turkeys are actually hopefully going to be turning into a mock Thanksgiving dinner for our classes. I'm working with Mrs. Hunter in the SES class, so we will do the processing of our 2 turkeys. They will cook, and then hopefully we all get to eat it. We'll see. We're still in the working process of that, but that is the goal. Our greenhouse, we did a fall mum sale. It was very successful. I had 75 mums. I was working with James out of the Baldwin greenhouse. I had 75 set aside. I was sold out in less than 12 hours. So needless to say, that'll be happening again next year. They were gorgeous and everybody has loved them. So we'll be definitely be doing that again next year. We did start a composting pile with the hopes of being able to use some of the extra paper goods and scraps that we're getting out of the school lunch program, with everything needing to be in their own separate boats. It's very in the very beginning stages, so we're not using a ton of things just yet. But we're doing vermiculture, which is using worms. So we've got a little box, and it's kind of gross but kind of cool at the same time. But we've got some kids that take care of that in the greenhouse. And then we're continuing partnering with Oxbow. They provide materials for our welding classes, and then I was able to make some connections over the summer. They're going to come and we'll probably zoom in, but talk a little bit about their careers at Oxbow and what they've been able to do. And then just making sure that what we are teaching in the welding shop is relevant to if they were to go right in and work at Oxbow, what things they would do. Flip it over. So FFA is very different this year. Again, those of you that have been around, you probably know some of the things that we normally get to do. And it usually involves lots of traveling. So this fall, very different than that. But we were able to do a summer officer retreat. We have 8 officers leading our group this year. They came in for 2 days over the summer in the classroom. We were able to social distance and work just in my room. They did awesome. I think they were just really excited to be back together and see each other back in August. They got some work done. We have done some community service already. We are looking to do a community service project every month as part of our just chapter organization this year. So if you know of anything that needs to be done throughout the community, please shoot me an email, or Mackenzie Ward if you know her. She's kind of heading all of those up. But we did our highway cleanup on 63 because we were unable to do it for The spring, normally we do it kind of around that Earth Day time, but we're trying to get it cleaned up before it snows. Probably our biggest win of the fall was we were able to do our Food for America Day. That was one that we really thought we might not be able to do. But we actually, instead of taking the kids out to the farm, we brought the farm to the elementary school, which actually the teachers really loved. So we'll probably be doing that, maybe not every year, but some blended version of that. We had 8 stations, and all of our FFA members staff the stations and then lead the groups around if you've not been a part of that day. So it was very successful. I heard really good feedback from the teachers. So my kids had fun. It sounds like they had fun. And last but not least, our fruit sale begins today. So if you normally get bugged about that, you will probably be hearing from somebody shortly. If you don't, let me know. I will send somebody to bug you. And we were blessed. Our Mintex is our fruit sale provider. They have done an online system that is very easy to use, and I'm very excited about it. So most of our processing is going to go online, which is really nice. So that makes my life easier, and the kids have a little bit easier job. But that also means that we can share it with people that maybe don't want that physical contact as well. So just some cool things. You're welcome to keep your sheet, and I'll share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Then we'll move on to our new business. Item A, review the COVID-19 response.
Okay. Before we do that, I also wanted to say, just appreciate the school board. Last week was school board appreciation week, and being a board member is truly one of those, not a whole lot of rewards to do, and it's one of those truly a public service commitment. So I appreciate all 5 of you and everything that you guys do for the board, and for all the students of the district, and all of us staff members as well. So thank you guys. I appreciate all the time. And some of the decisions that aren't easy to make, and the position that you guys are in. So thank you all. Appreciate it on behalf of the entire staff. It really is. I said this to the staff. I've said this to you guys, and truly mean it. We have a great board right now, and with the exception of Skip, it's a great board.
80%.
No, we really do. You guys are fantastic, and we appreciate all the support. So thank you. Okay, so some response stuff. We have a COVID-19 response. So we have Marcy Ms. Meyer put together a COVID-19 quick links tab. So if you go to the website under quick links, all of some of the more high profile or forms and information that we wanted to be easily accessible, we put on this link. So we put them all in there as PDF files for staff members and parents to have access, quick access to. So, and then we've added 2 Polk County resources too that they've been frequently updating, just their homepage, and then they have a COVID-19 status tab that they update, I think daily, that they've been doing a really nice job with. So we wanted that in there as well as a good resource. So just some of the forms that we put in there, just kind of wanted to highlight. So the first one is just the moving between learning environments. This one has been a question that we all, including myself, has had, like, what is that threshold? When do we make a decision whether or not we move to like a cohort model? When do we decide if we move to a distance learning model? How do we make that decision? And there really isn't an answer. There isn't a threshold, and the reason why, and there's been, I think, one district in the Polk County area has created a threshold guidance form, and for us, it'd be tough to say a percentage of staff members or students dictates what that threshold is. And 2 examples that I have is, I have our last year students. We had over 50%, I think, of the elementary out sick last year with flu, and we were still able to run, and yeah, it wasn't ideal, but we were still able to function, and the kids were out, then they came back in, and there was just a lot of flu last year. So that's kind of the student side. The staff side of things, every area and group is very different. We could almost have a percentage for each staff group: teacher, staff, support staff, transportation. If we have 2 transportation drivers out, we'll probably be looking at doing some type of modified schedule, or maybe even shut down. If we have a large number of support staff, that's very different than a teaching staff. So it really depends on what area that we're talking about. So there really isn't a 20% or this many cases of positive COVID-19 in a certain area. As we talked through at the county level, we were all kind of in the same boat, talking through as far as we can't really identify a threshold. So this is going to be one of those things that unfortunately, we'll be having conversations as we go, as we get further in the next couple of months, and if we do eventually have cases entering the district. As of right now, knock on wood, we've been very lucky. We have no confirmed cases from our student population, and we have not had a confirmed case in our staff population in the district. So we've been very, very lucky. With that said, this is kind of this lays out some of the criteria and maybe even more talking points that we would be discussing as we work through. Do we, in the very beginning when we developed that transition Google slideshow of how are we going to be reopening, you'll see the option A is the face-to-face in-person instruction. Option B is the blended, where some districts, you're starting to see some districts do like cohort models where they're doing 2 days a week and then they flip-flop for cleaning. And then the distance learning is where you have kids at home and the staff would be in the building delivering instruction remotely through Google platform or other platforms. Not platforms, I guess technology. So again, with that being said, every decision that we make would be in collaboration with the county. It'd be Polk County having, I'd be calling them like I do every day, having conversations with the main individual over there and talking through what we have, what we're seeing, her recommendations, and then unfortunately I think it's going to be more of a staffing discussion internally than it is a guidance county level discussion. I think we're going to be having the conversation of, can we sustain and be providing instruction with integrity with this many people out, yes or no? What does that look like? How do we get coverage? And that's really what the threshold will look like. So anyway, this lays it out a little bit and talks through that a little bit. I wish we could have some type of threshold. This is it, but I don't think that'd be in our best interest as a district, because there's too many variables that are outside of our control, and too many variables even with internally. We've had the discussion of if you have a case, do you automatically close down? And that answer is no. An example I gave was at the beginning of the years, if we have one case of, in the pre-K where those kids maybe are only half a day and they don't transition throughout the building and we don't feel like the building was exposed, we might only have to shut down a wing, get that clean, the pre-K and kindergarten. Maybe those teachers aren't delivering instruction that day and we're cleaning that, and it didn't impact the high school or other parts of the elementary where you have a student in the 7th through 12th grade building. They might be in 9 different rooms throughout their day, and more people might have been potentially exposed, and then that will force us to look at how do we effectively clean the entire environment or building in order to make sure everybody's safe and healthy. And that might mean closing down the entire building for a small period of time to get it clean and get everybody up and running. So
does that mean it would get down to the pointed level of, we have 3 first grade teachers that have to be out for a while, we just shut down first grade, everybody else keeps revolving with, you just shut a grade down?
it might
From a
be.
staffing standpoint? Or a class down, or a...
Yeah, it could be, but not necessarily. It might be, depending on how much travel that grade and those students, if it was a student exposure and they had, 3 different specials, throughout the last couple days, and we didn't find out about it until later, and then, there's multiple areas of the building, then it would be more people being shut down. But it might be, pre-K is probably the easiest one to kind of, like my example where, we'd only shut down maybe that wing, or if kindergarten didn't transition, throughout that day, we found out about halfway through the day or something like that, and we were able to get everybody home and just shut down that wing. Odds are we will probably be shutting down more than, 1 wing, if I had to guess. just how this has been going. The communication, there's definitely some lag time on, as far as when the district receives it, and even I think every day it's like, well, 2 days ago, so-and-so went in, and there wasn't a communication to the school district, so we found out about it a little bit later. So there is some of that, and then there's other scenarios where we're hearing about it right away, and people are calling in, families calling in, letting us know right away, and then, especially with younger families, they call in, yep, so-and-so has these symptoms, we're going in to take them to get tested. Not a high school kid where they're out and about with multiple friend groups. It's just their own, it's contained in their household. So again, I'm not sure exactly how to answer that. I think it's going to depend on the situation and scenario. Any other questions? Yeah.
Has our point person at the county changed recently?
Yes. Well, as in the last month, it has changed. Yep. So their head person is Brittany Fry, and I can say Polk County has been phenomenal to work with. They've been fantastic, helping us out with, as far as communicating what the guidance should be. A lot of this, now that we're in it, it's a lot of, holy smokes, I don't know the answer to that. This is like, it's kind of like a riddle every time you get it. Well, it's not just this, my son or daughter has these symptoms. It's like this happened, and then there's. So the most recent, I don't mean to ramble, but the most recent now is if my one son tested positive, your cousin lives in the house, he tested positive a month ago for COVID, but now the other sibling is displaying symptoms, are they both quarantined? And there's a lot of those type of questions, and the latest guidance is if you've tested positive within the last 3 months, but have used I think it's the PCR test, not the antibody or not the antigen test, but the PCR within the last 3 months, you don't have to quarantine as long as you don't have symptoms. So if a household member hasn't been tested positive, but just is displaying or exhibiting symptoms associated with COVID-19, the individual that has tested positive already, within the last 3-month period does not have to quarantine, and they could come right back into school and be until they display or unless they display symptoms. So there's a lot of that, like weird, kind of like scenario type stuff that is happening pretty much daily of, here's another one, let's say it's my family, which this didn't happen, but let's just say my daughter, had 2 symptoms. We took her in, she tested negative for COVID, but she tested positive for strep. 1 day later, my son has the exact same symptoms. Do they have to be quarantined, or are they good to come in? Do we have to get them tested for positive or for COVID, or do they only have to get tested for strep? So there's a lot of those type of questions that are happening right now, which it's been interesting. But Polk County's been phenomenal to work with. They've been very quick at responding to all of our questions, and there's only 3 individuals that I've been communicating with that are, and they're doing that with all of the I believe all the districts that are in the Polk County area, so they've been great. Any other questions with this? Okay. So then the next one I just wanted to share with everybody is we did this earlier, the end of last year when we first closed due to DPI. We had a parent frequently asked questions. We have this updated one. Now it just has a bunch of questions that we are receiving quite a bit, kind of common questions that kind of one-stop shop here as far as questions, and then some links within there as far as that are pertaining to each of the questions or some of the questions. So within this document, we have health-related kind of main topic. We have learning environment / instruction, face covering, and then athletics is also kind of a common one. Then we have confirm COVID-19 procedures. We don't have that in here, but I wanted to talk about just kind of what that looked like, just so you guys had a heads up on that. So that's the document, kind of similar looking, but it just said the confirmed case, just so everybody's on the same page. What'll happen as far as the communication, what that'll look like, who gets communicated with, and then what that communication actually is. And I think probably the biggest thing that you guys will feel are questions of, who's the classroom teacher. And right now, the guidance from the county is we're only identifying, internally we'll identify it a little bit more. Externally to families, we're only going to be identifying the building in which so it's either going to say elementary or junior senior high. We're not going to narrow it down to the classroom procedure or classroom environment. Communication, step one is will be working with the individual that tests positive, obviously, so it'll be the family, the family of if it's student or if it's a staff member, that individual staff member. Then with that, we'll work on, we'll immediately communicate with the county, let them know what's going on, and then we'll begin our contact tracing. And I'm not really sure exactly what that's going to look like. I have an idea, but I think until you go through it, you don't exactly know, depending on the situation and scenario. But we'll work with the individual. We'll be asking them questions that the county gives us as far as what close contact means, identify that, and then they'll identify the individuals that they feel like they were in close contact with. And then from that, then we'll work with those families and communicate with those families and give that information to the county. So that way the county will also be working with those individuals and communicating with those individuals that were potentially exposed. Okay, so the step one, we'll form the Polk County Department, Polk County Health Services Department will be informing all families. So then that last step within step one, then the county does what they do as far as the quarantining process, and they'll be asking the individual that's positive to identify the close contacts as well. We will be doing that internally as far as what we feel, where they were in the classroom, who they were in close contact with. Step two will be communication with the staff and school board. So what that'll look like is it'll be an email from me, just informing everybody of what's going on. The email will include the building and what grade level has been potentially compromised or exposed due to the COVID-19. And then that'll also be communicated out to the county. Then to the families and the community, we'll be sending an official letter or communication. Most likely it'll be a letter, and I have a draft of the letter already, just in case this does take place. But it'll be sent to the district families, informing them that that there was a positive COVID-19 case, and then that letter will include. And this has some variables too, because it's not necessarily, like I said, it's not necessarily a closure. Most likely there'll be some type of closure just for cleaning purposes. But then, it'll explain what the area, which building had a positive case, what the potential closure, if there is one, will look like, and then the tentative date for reopening. So right now they're telling us that if there is a case, that you have to wait 24 hours before you start cleaning. So most likely, if we do have to close a small period or the entire district, it'll be for, a couple days, 24-hour wait period, and get in there, clean, and then reopen. So like I said, this may cause some frustration, unfortunately, for families, because I think the individuals will want to know, and then unfortunately, they'll create their own story. Sometimes you see that on social media where people are communicating that out, and unfortunately that will be the case. But we'll be sending a letter via school messenger, so they'll be going out and maybe, depending on how it looks, a voice message as well, kind of like a snow day, but for sure we'll be doing via school messenger out to all families. So any questions with the communication going on? No? Okay. Then we have spectator guidelines. So that's the last one for, within this section. So this has caused, and it was brought up during the special meeting, has caused some frustration for people. I think for the most part though, I think I know myself, I'm happy that we've gone as long as we have. We've been able to put together almost an entire season of fall sports for the kids, which has been not the case in many areas throughout the state of Wisconsin. So, but anyway, we talked about it a little bit at the special board meeting. I know I've talked about this with you guys in previous meetings. Is the conference level dictates those guidelines as far as what it looks like. It has been tough. Not every district is monitoring it the same way. We've tried communicating that out to all of our athletes and parents. Fortunately, it is what it is. But the volleyball, this is on there just so everybody knows. This is only for our home events. Districts can choose to go more restrictive, and some are. Even within the conference level, there's been a couple areas that have seen an increase in COVID-19, so they've decided to go no spectators. But Mr. Rosine has been communicating that out to families prior to the events. So this just currently lays out the volleyball, cross country, and football guidelines, and then what the expectations are for all of the spectators that go there. We've been doing live streaming all of our events as well. Josh Wallace, elementary teacher over at the has really been doing a nice job streaming that, and then we've had 2 individual community members that have been commentating during some of the events, and they've been fantastic. And it's been really nice of them to do that and offer their time up and watch the game and commentate well. They've been doing football, volleyball, cross country. Just has been, we discussed it, but it just problematic as far as how it's laid out. It's hard enough as a parent to watch it, let alone live stream it and have a commentator during the cross country. So it's just not really conducive to that style. But the volleyball and football, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and it's been going really well. It started out, if you guys remember, during the graduation last year, we were trying to figure out what the heck to do, and we purchased a program that videotapes it, and then it allows you to put stuff in there and edit it as you're going, and it really has worked out nicely for the district. So as of right now, that's going well. Not ideal, but considering what we're dealing with, I've been really happy with the reactions that we've been getting.
So the previous games, can they be found on Facebook somewhere then?
They are on there, and I believe you can view them all too.
You just scroll through to the one you want.
Yeah. So and we haven't gotten all of them, but a good majority of the different levels as well. So not all of them are having. Just the varsity ones have the commentating with them, but the JV ones and the other levels are being recorded as well, live streamed. Any other questions with athletics? Okay, and then the rest here just are different documents that we've talked about in the past. The exclusion criteria, which lists the symptoms, the one symptom, then you're automatically out, or 2 of the other kinds of symptoms. And then I also just threw in here just the student symptom parent letter, just my draft that we've been using. And anything in red is what gets changed. So if it's like my daughter Ada, or it'd be my name in red here, Josh and Elaine Ernst, and then Ada would be in red there. And then we send this letter home to everybody just so they have it. So, okay, so that's all I had for the response to the COVID-19 response. Any questions on any of that? Okay.
All right, then we'll move on to the next item of business, review of the 2021 homecoming.
Okay, I'll have Mr. Gillis start us out with the homecoming.
Okay. We unfortunately had to cancel a lot of the larger events that we normally have that would cause either close contact or large groups to be in close contact with each other. Things like the dance and the parade and the outdoor games and the bonfire, we had to scratch those this year. But I'm happy to say that Mr. Crawford and the student council, they came up with a phenomenal assembly for us on Friday where we were able to social distance. We had the gym basically quartered and one of the high school classes in each of the corners of the gym and spread out on the bleachers, and they put on a heck of a show. They had a very well organized, fun day for the kids to kind of bring it all to a wrap for us. So I thought it went really well, given the circumstances we had to work with. Special shout out to Shane Larson and John Pearson. They did this little show of their own, very musically talented young men, and they played a ukulele and the drums and a guitar and a keyboard. It was just crazy with all the skills those kids have musically. They did a really outstanding job. It was a lot of fun to watch. So shout out to Mr. Crawford and the student council, and I want to make sure I thank the faculty for their flexibility. Homecoming week is always challenging. You know, kids are amped up about stuff, and it's always a little different atmosphere in the building, so we have to work with that too. And, remember the fun part of it. I'm gonna go right into conferences.
Oh, no, I'll follow up then.
Okay.
Mr. Peterson, Mr. Peterson wasn't able to make it, but I want to give a huge shout out to the kids too. As an adult, you think of there's so much more to life than homecoming, but in sports and high school. But as a high schooler, 7th through 12th grader, sometimes we've all been there. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes your world revolves around that. And this has been, it is a disappointment after disappointment, and I feel for the kids. And this was another one. I'm not even going to pretend like the kids weren't disappointed with homecoming, because I think they were. In the beginning, we went in there. I did just, let them know that we wouldn't be having a dance, and that we were looking at changing things up. Mr. Crawford had me come in and meet with the kids, and there were tears. And there's been, like I said, a lot of disappointment. But I think overall, homecoming was a huge success, and I think a lot of that has to do with obviously the resiliency of our students, but also our flexibility of our staff. Everybody's been thinking outside the box. I know I've used the word as remarkable, and there's some frustration with that. But I really I believe that I think it was a huge success, and it has to do with the staff thinking outside the box and saying, what can we do? We know this isn't ideal, but what can we put together for these kids to make it memorable? And yeah, it wasn't like last year, and it wasn't like the year before. I get that, but overall, I thought it was really well done. The pep assembly was a lot of fun. I just wanted to show you a video at the elementary, because even the elementary kids, they're being impacted as well. There's not as many things that are happening, but we did dress up days. Obviously there's not as much movement throughout the buildings, but the kids got into it and really enjoyed it. And so instead of doing what we normally did at the elementary, they had the idea of decorating the windows outside to get the kids outside, because the guidance continues to say that it's better to be outside. You can spread out a little bit more. And then they decorated the windows from inside, and then all the kids got to see it from the outside. So it was the kids really got into it. I guess I'll speak to my own household and my own 3 children that are over there. They really liked it, and they added the winner got a free recess, which took it to a whole nother level for the kids, which was exciting to see. But just want to give you just a little bit of what went on over at the elementary. It's just a short 1-minute video. Give you a little idea, and then usually the high school kids come over, or they have the last couple of years gone over to the elementary and done a little thing where they speak to the kids. And this year they did some videos, and the kids got to watch it. So it was, like I said, not like ideal and not like years past, but it was still. I thought the staff did a really nice job getting stuff in front of the kids for them to enjoy the week. So
Who won the free recess?
Mr. Wallace is his class, I believe, right?
Monkey went down.
Yeah.
Oh.
That didn't go over well.
Yep, so that's all I had on the homecoming.
Okay, then we can move on to the parent-teacher conferences.
Mr. Gill, share on that one too.
All right, we had conferences at high school already, and it was our first time doing them through Zoom. We've not done that before due to circumstances. We didn't want to have all the people in the building and in the gym and the commons and those places, so we met during in-service. We did some training. We set up a mock simulation with somebody was the parent and somebody was the teacher, and we set it up in the gym or in the library there so people could see how it would work from both sides. And of course, you know, in the building, we have a good signal and it worked flawlessly as it could, but not everybody has that ability at home. So I'm sure there were some people that it wasn't what they were hoping for, but you know, it's important to keep in mind, this was our first time ever doing this. It takes a lot of training and a lot of practice and to try to roll that out and to give your end customer what they're looking for. It's not face-to-face, it's different. Our students are experiencing the same thing. So I think that the parent feedback that I received was they were satisfied. Staff members seemed pleased with it as well. Seemed to think that it went fairly flawlessly for being our first time through. We've got a few ideas to work on for next time, but I think it went okay.
Yeah, and I'll say too, I think satisfied is probably a good word. You know, it wasn't ideal. You know, even from, you know, we watch it from a parent side, it was, you know, kind of borderline Saturday Night Live skit, you know, the normal Zoom stuff where you're saying stuff and then they pause and then you pause, and there was some of that. It was glitchy at times, but I think the message overall, you know, as a parent, we were able to hear, you know, what the grades were, how they're doing. You know, I wanted to hop on that side just to see how it was. So I got into most of them with my one child that's in this building. So overall, the message was delivered. Wasn't ideal, and it wasn't like sitting in front of someone having that conversation, that face-to-face, you know, piece where you develop that relationship was definitely, you know, not there. But considering the circumstances and knowing that we didn't really have any other option, I think it was as good as we could have, you know,
A little more
hoped for.
personal than an email or.
Yep. Yeah. So.
Just made a little piece of
With that said, we're looking at doing November, the elementary parent-teacher conferences for the first one. Help me out, guys. November 12th, maybe? I think. Anybody know? That was the 12th and 17th, maybe, but whatever the November dates are, that first one for sure.
12th, 17th.
12th, okay, is going to be a virtual. As of today, that's the plan. So again, obviously it's not ideal, and especially at the elementary level, you wish you could go in and have that conversation and talk through, you know, what's going on in the classroom. But I just encourage, you know, parents to make that phone call or email to their individual teachers if they have any concerns. But we're going to try to do the virtual with the elementary parent-teacher conference as well. So that's it on the parent-teacher conferences.
Is plan B to the virtual, if it's not working, does everybody have a phone next to them? So if whatever's not working, you can just call the teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The
yep.
document I sent out, the families had the teacher's name, their email, their phone extension, and their link for Zoom. So, and then in the letter it said, if you have trouble with it, please feel free to call or email your teacher. Make that
Yeah.
connection.
I think if there's something, if it's not working, I would suggest throwing an email to the teacher just to say, hey, do you have time after school, you know, over the next couple days, or, you know, I tell them what works in your schedule. If it doesn't work that evening, odds are they're going to have meetings that are scheduled, and by the time you make that phone call, they might be in another meeting. So that'd just be a recommendation, or a suggestion, I should say.
What percentage of the parents do that in high school? Is it quite a few?
It's kind of a tapering effect throughout the year. Our first one is the biggest one, then it kind of tapers off through the year. Yeah. And most interested then right away in the fall connect with faces with teachers and stuff like that. Yeah. And then we alternate the first and the third are in the gym, and then the second and the fourth are in classrooms.
Okay.
And I think the gym is the biggest crowd, just because people can see all the teachers and move fairly quickly.
Sure.
But then the other format allows for some more private conferencing if there's an issue with parents and students.
Is it possible to do like different nights? Or, I don't know, because they're always on volleyball night. I think they've been for the last 3 years, but I don't know. I didn't complain about it.
Sure. It kind of depends on which calendar got developed first.
Yeah.
That's it for that one.
All right, then we'll move on to review the 2021 third Friday of February.
Okay. All right, so if you go past, I just threw in there the virtual letter from Mr. Gillis to families, just for the parent-teacher conferences, just for your reference, if you don't have a junior, senior high kiddo in your household. So the pupil count, the first document is this one. It's so it looks a little different this year. I added the purple column, or purple sections with so those are all the students that are going virtual. So it looks a little bit different. So starting in kindergarten, we're offering the virtual platform. So the K full days, where you have 40, those 40 kids are all in the building. And then the number 2, we have 2 students in kindergarten that are virtual. And this was third Friday in September, so September 18th. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, so if you look through the second page, you know, the total district total is 587 right now. Pre-K through 12th is what we have. That's all in person and virtual. So then this breaks out the, just so you know, so the report that we have to do has, you know, how many were present, how many were absent, special ed population, open enrollment, how many of those open enrollment are special ed, how many are open enrolled in, how many are out, and then our open enrolled out, how many of those are special ed, and then just gives you the breakdown of the totals for each for each building. Yep. So we have, you know, our enrollment is down a little bit, 587. You know, last year we were just a hair over 600. We've had a couple kids that have gone, a couple families that have chosen to go homeschool, you know, due to all this stuff. So, you know, we had just a couple more today that are part of that crew. So, other than that, everything has been pretty much the same. Our numbers have been, you know, fairly similar from year to year as far as enrollment in versus enrollment out. Any questions? Typically we do see, you know, it's about a 10, kind of a fluctuation of about 10, but usually it depends on the class that's graduating and then the class coming in. That's the kindergarten class, or pre-K I should say.
All right, then we'll move on to the next item of business, approval of the Start College Now applications.
Okay, Start College Now. So Start College Now and the Early College Credit Program, both of those were previously under the youth options that you guys used to approve. So the Start College Now program allows high school age students the opportunity to take college courses at Wisconsin technical colleges. So they're about $150 a credit. It's paid for by the district 100%. The Early College Credit Program, which is the next item that we'll be talking about, that's the one that's the 75% cost to the district, and then 25% of the cost to the Department of Public Instruction. So right now, what we're on right now is the approval of the Start College Now applications. We have 2 students in the note section. I did list those 2 students are listed for you, how many credits they're applying for, and then their applications are in the board packets as well. The one student that doesn't have a letter of application, she applied last semester, so she didn't need a letter of application. Or I should say this current semester, not these two are for next semester. Does that make sense? Okay.
I move to approve the Start College Now application.
Second.
Been properly moved and second to approve the Start Now College applications. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is the approval of the early college credit program applications.
Okay, so like I said, this is also formerly known as youth options. Like I said, it's 75% is paid by the district, 25% is DPI. These are 4-year degree credits. The only difference with this one, we have 2 students applying. You guys, the past practice has been to approve if the courses are not offered within the district. So this year is a little bit different because now we have the Virtual Learning Academy. The first student that's listed in there is enrolled in the Virtual Learning Academy and has access to a lot more courses than what an in-person student would have access to. I put in the course offerings within the Edgenuity program. I think it's at the end of the it's in between the 2 sections. So it's the one, it starts out with this, the picture of the hands and the keyboard is in there. So my personal recommendation would be that that individual is not approved because of the access to the course offerings that she has.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the early college credit program applications. Oh, no.
For
As is?
As is?
What's up to you guys, as is or?
I'm still looking.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Ryan.
Well, why don't you?
And you guys need more explanation on that too? Do you know what the classes?
Yeah, is there a reason that they don't want to do it on there? I guess I'm a little confused.
The reasoning what?
Why they don't want to do it on the platform they're already on?
Well, because these are 4-year degree credits.
Okay.
So it's at that price. And if you look at the classes that this individual applied for, they're listed.
Yep.
One of them wouldn't qualify. Maybe 2 of them might not qualify anyway because we offer 2 of them in the building. But this individual is enrolled in the
Yep.
Edgenuity courses, but then also wants to take 3, 6, 9, 15 courses at University of River Falls as well next semester.
And we're already paying Edgenuity
Right.
on top of, so we'll be paying twice.
Correct, yep.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to do a crosswalk, and you're right, all the courses that she wants to take are offered,
Yep.
So why doesn't she just take the ones that she can offer?
because it's not direct college credit.
Oh.
Yep, so it'd just be towards graduation.
I see.
The advantage of being in a small school is you can take many of these.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Do I hear a second then?
Well, I think we need to
I think we need to,
amend the motion.
I move to approve one and not the other. The one that can take her classes through the online, takes them through the online platform that Clear Lake has.
You're gonna approve the in-person application, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Do you know what we're saying?
Rather than,
Right.
So Ryan, are you giving the motion?
So this,
You wanna-
the
See where
one,
we're at here.
the one student is enrolled in virtual, the Edgenuity program. The second student is enrolled in person in the building. And
And that's when we would approve, the in-person person gets the approval to take the early college credit.
that'd be my recommendation. She does not, that application does not have access to all of the same courses
Right.
because it's in person.
And just so I'm clear, since somebody stepped in the mud puddle, the one that we don't want to grant, it's, the reason is why? Because they can take these classes already on the virtual platform they're on?
The courses are comparable through Edgenuity program. You don't receive college credits. However, the student has access to the same type of curriculum.
So they're applying because they want to take the courses, but they want the college credits.
Correct.
And the reason that we don't want to approve it is because we don't want to pay twice.
I mean, it is a financial, burden to the district to pay for someone to go to the Edgenuity, enroll into the Edgenuity program, not be in person, and then on top of it, not take all of the courses through Edgenuity and then take courses through the university. So the district would be paying for the enrollment in the Edgenuity plus, 15 UW,
Credits.
undergrad credits at River Falls.
And that's what we've approved in the past, is when somebody's here and we offer the similar course here in school, we say, take it here, over taking it just to get the college credit at a university.
Correct,
We've
yep.
done before.
Do they have an avenue? This person would have an avenue to take the credits anyway?
They
Or
could
not.
choose to come back in person and then reapply.
But I mean, they couldn't on their own enroll in.
Can they get out of the virtual one?
At semester, yep, and then they could apply and it'd be brought back to the board and you
Right,
guys.
I mean, I get what they're trying to do, and I don't think we should shut them down per se, but go about it a different way, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I just wanted to catch up. So,
No.
do you wanna restate?
What do I do then? Do I just continue with it, or?
What do you guys all want to do? Are you looking to make a
I
motion
think it's
to approve the individual that's in person?
Right.
Right.
All right, so,
We move to approve the in-person or the higher ed, but the person that's on the platform stays on the platform.
yeah, so we won't even include that. We'll just make a motion for the one that we want to approve, and the other one just won't get approved.
Sure.
So do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the one that is in school here.
And what we'll do is we'll communicate with that other individual to say, if you want to apply for these, you can certainly enroll in person and then
Right,
that
and they
will be.
can, that's no problem, right?
What's that?
They can change that at semester and.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, they're not locked in, so that would be brought back to you guys for that decision.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is the approval of our new hires.
Okay, so we have 3 new hires. We have Tanya O'Connor, classroom support staff, Alicia Sunday, classroom support staff, and Samantha Kelly, classroom support staff.
I move to approve the new hires.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve our new hires. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is our approval of resignations.
Okay, we have one resignation. Diane Morfitt has submitted her letter of resignation. And I'd like to thank her for her time in the district, and then she's also been kind enough to stay on board and kind of onboard the individual that's getting hired to replace her to help her out.
Who did you say, Jeff?
Diane Morfitt, classroom support staff at the elementary.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve our resignation. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is consideration and approval of support staff substitute compensation.
Okay, so substituting is just, like we talked about the COVID-19 response. Staffing is our biggest issue right now. Between that and then just kind of everyone's just kind of state of mind, I guess I should say, staff and students. But as far as closure is concerned, I think the the staffing is going to be the biggest issue. So bringing to the board the support staff, as you guys, if you remember 2 meetings ago, I think you approved the compensation for teacher support, for teacher substitutes to $125. So last year, just to give you a little bit of history, 2019, 2020, it was increased from, I have the list, the 10, 10, 9, $10, $10, and $9, to the 10, or I'm sorry, 11, 11, and 10. At the end, I think it was at the end of last year for the 2020, 2021 school year. I'm just throwing this out there and recommend to the board that we try to draw some interest and increase it $1 more at each of those 3 levels. So it would be custodial support staff, 12, food service, 12, and classroom, 11.
How many positions are we looking to fill? Or how many people are we looking to get?
Well, these are just
Just
substitute comp, so it's kind of daily, depends on the day. And we've definitely had a shortage already. We've been pulling internally, and we just don't have the coverage right now for both teacher substitutes and support staff.
Well, I will entertain a
I
motion.
move to approve the increase in pay for the subs.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the support staff compensation. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed. Motion carries. The next item of business is consideration or approval of the Clear Lake School District banking.
Okay. Talked about this a little bit, but so we had the Clear Lake Bank shut down. What we did is we decided to treat it almost like I know this isn't bidding, but kind of treated it as like we were bidding out projects. So we had 3 banks come in, met with Mrs. Karnick and myself. We had Wisconsin Credit Union, Dairy State Bank out of Cumberland and Turtle Lake, and then Bremer Bank out of Amory. So I feel like those are the 3 banks that would be probably the most fitting for us as a district. To be honest, they all offer very similar, comparable stuff. The recommendation probably that I would have is to go with Wisconsin Credit Union, only because we already do our HSA through that, so we already have that relationship with them. But in all honesty, all 3 of them offer pretty much the same thing. So what we did is we met, Ms. Karnick and I met with all of them, and then I have all the packets for you guys. So if you don't want to make a decision tonight, that's fine. You guys can look through it all. And then I communicated to them. I said I'm not sure how it's going to go. If we table it and they want you guys to come in, then we'd invite you guys in to meet and answer questions with the board. They might make that decision this evening and not have any questions for you. Kind of left it open for them. So do you guys have any questions for Lori or I? Or the process?
What do you think, Lori?
My opinion is either the credit union or Bremer, just for the fact that it's a little closer. Josh and I both live in Amory, so that's our direction. If we need to go home, we can do stuff that way. We're gonna get remote deposit for checks anyway, so that part's kind of helpful. Maybe just cash going back and forth if necessary. But again, like we already have the relationship with the credit union now. Fees are very similar.
I would move to credit union now versus waiting, so you guys have a little more prep time for all the changes you'll have to do for payroll and all your automatic transfers and all that. It takes a
I
while.
would appreciate that also.
I'll entertain a motion then.
I move to approve West Wisconsin as a new bank.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Let Wisconsin Credit be our new bank. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business is the review of the Clear Lake School District refinancing.
Okay, so not a huge review. We already went through the review last time. Just want to share with you guys that it's a done deal. So we closed, refinanced on the bonds, and we're getting a lot of savings out of it. So it'll be a nice. It was a nice opportunity for the district to capitalize on, and with the interest rate that it dropped to what it was, we were able to. We will be able to save quite a bit. So all the paperwork is done, and it's official. Now they've been working with Mrs. Karnick and myself to just walk us through like what that means for some of our reports and some stuff that on a day-to-day basis for Lori, and a pretty smooth process, to be honest. I was expecting it to be a lot more painful than it was with, having when you refinance your own home, but it was they took care of quite a bit for us, so it was nice.
Okay. Then we'll move on to our superintendent notes.
Okay. Just had a couple things, most of which have been touched on, but again, wanted to say thank you to the board for all you guys do with Board Appreciation Week. We really are lucky to have a high-functioning board that we do. I can't thank you enough, too, in a time like now that we're dealing with a pandemic. I think not only my job, my role, but everybody's role, but I'll speak for myself, would be an absolute nightmare to be dealing with a dysfunctional board or a micromanaging board. And so I'm very thankful to have you guys in the role that you're in, so thank you. Did want to speak to Food for America. Huge thank you to Ms. Watson. I thought that was a successful event for the kids. We were really nervous on how that was going to look and how it was going to all play out, and if we'd even be able to offer it, because we knew we wouldn't be able to bring kids to a farm. But it was really well done. So a huge thank you to Ms. Watson. Huge thank you to the kids for all their work preparing. Huge thank you to the Wood Farm and the Wood family for all their involvement. And if you got to see it or got to see some of the pictures, I don't want to say with full confidence, but I'm fairly confident it was almost every animal that was on the elementary property that you would see at most farms, or the farms that we've attended. Maybe that's totally naive, but there were a lot of animals there. How about that? It was really neat for the kids to see, and the kids to be a part of. The high school kids always do a phenomenal job, and those individuals, in the FFA program, it's more about it's not just about farms, it's about leadership, it's about kids that are articulate and presenting to the other kids. It's some really neat soft skills that they learn along the way and throughout that process, and they did a great job again this year. And the little kids, you gotta love the questions, and I even myself fall into some of those categories as far as the questions that I'm asking are similar to some of the kindergarten and first graders that are there. So I thought it was a huge success, and it was very nice to have, like Ms. Watson said, it was really nice for our staff with all of the precautions and procedures that we have in place to have them right in the building. They could wash their hands and get everything that they needed to get, come right out, just a couple steps away, see the animals, and then they were right, they had access to the building, with just a couple steps away. So it was really neat. And like I said, all of the high school kids just really do a tremendous job, not only presenting to the little ones, but also handling the animals and getting the little ones involved in the whole process. So I thought it was a great day overall, and the weather cooperated, so it was nice. So thank you to everyone that was involved. Did I miss anyone, Ms. Watson, as far as thank yous to involvement?
Kara Pickard gets all of the kudos for that thing.
Okay.
She organized and put everybody to work and did the whole thing. Really, my job that day was stand there and be really proud of what they got to do. So.
Okay. Well, thank you to Kara Pickard as well. Homecoming we talked about, I thought that was a success as well. Not ideal, but we were able to put quite a bit of things like you saw together and make it a somewhat memorable year for everybody. And then lastly, just wanted to thank things that are happening in the building. It's just a very different year, and we've said this at every meeting, but with athletics, we're not able to have all of the kids come and watch the games. The staff, not all the staff can come and watch the games, and so appreciate everyone's flexibility and patience, and we're able to have a fall season, with the sporting events, and we've gotten 6 weeks in already, and we've had 6 weeks of instruction. So it's been a good start to the year considering everything that we've had to do, and appreciate everybody's patience and flexibility throughout this. So That's it. I've done enough talking and rambling, so.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Ernst. So the next section of our meeting is the contemplated closed session, in accordance with WS at 18.85, paragraph 1C. Considering employment compensation or performance data on any public employee of which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. We'll be reviewing employee compensation performance 3 times. So at this time I'll pull the board. Penny?
Yes?
Skip?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Krista?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Where we stop.
All right, we're back to open session. Next item of business, future agenda items. Anybody have anything specific they want to?
Are we gonna ever go back to reviewing policies?
We will, yeah.
We
And
got it. You're excited.
We did 2 meetings ago.
and we,
Just feels like a long time ago.
yep, we're probably gonna have to have a special meeting too, in October. So at the typical year, we meet right before October 31st to approve the final budget when all the official numbers are in. We have a conference call with Baird, I think tomorrow, that will be finalizing some of that stuff. So we most likely will have another a special board meeting in October, but I'll let you guys know if that's changed because of the pandemic or anything, to adopt the final district levy and then the final budget.
We just plan on that? Are you thinking like the 26th?
I'm not sure. I have to.
You can just let us know.
Okay.
All right, well then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.